Soul Ring.
I'm wearing like wireless headphones more often lately, and they have these little like two little prongs for charging in their little cradle, but it's like it's some kind of shitty metal because I'm getting like my ears are like getting itchy, and I think I'm starting to get like a rash from the metal from wearing the headphones, and it's just like it's rough. Guys, I gotta tell you, my advice, don't have a metal allergy because metal is everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
That's why, like, Magneto would really be dangerous.
You know what, Eric? You are right.
Yeah.
Man, Magneto's super cool. We need to do an episode, like, just about the history of Magneto. That could be some good Patreon content.
That's good stuff.
We should definitely do that. Like, because like the lore episodes are enjoyed by many, and every time we put one out, we do get like a boost in listeners. So I think doing something like that sort of is about a different kind of like comic book or like fantasy or sci-fi kind of IP on Patreon. I think that's actually a really good idea.
Yeah, we can just do our own Multiverses Beyond.
Hey,
that's a great title. Well, everybody, on that note, we're going to start the show. It's Turn 1 Soul Ring. I'm Kevin.
Hey, I'm Eric.
And I'm Riley.
And today on the show, we are concluding our Adventures in the Forgotten Realms set review, which is the new standard set inspired by the Dungeons and Dragons role-playing game. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's pretty popular. But if you're familiar with our set reviews, then you know that they aren't exhaustive. We discuss the cards we're interested in playing in the formats that we play, which is most of them. And over the last couple weeks, we've covered the white, blue, black, and red cards from the set. And today we're going to be wrapping things up with the green, gold, colorless, and land cards. But before we get to our first green card, Eric, how can listeners get in touch with us?
One way is you can find us over on Instagram at Turn 1 Soul Ring the podcast. We do have an email if you want to email us directly, turn1soulringthepodcast@gmail.com. We throw everything up onto YouTube, so you can find us easily by typing Turn 1 Soul Ring the podcast. And last but not least, we have what's called a Patreon page. So if you really like what we're doing over here, definitely check out our Patreon page. We've got some cool stuff over there for people that really like our content. So Turn 1 Soul Ring, or patreon.com/Turn 1 Soul Ring. Thank you.
Yeah, and we do have a bunch of playlists on our YouTube channel. So, and I think you can do that on Spotify. I should really get into that. But, if you like certain content that we do, whether it's set reviews or our lore content or our deck techs, all of that stuff are in their own curated playlists. So if you just want to have a good time and not listen to ads, go check it out. Without any further ado, we're going to get to our first green card. Oh, this is a card Riley and I were talking about before we started recording today. It's Circle of Dreams Druid. It's triple green for a 2/1 elf druid, and you can tap it to add 1 green to your mana pool for each creature you control. So we all know how powerful this effect can be based on the price of Gaia's Cradle.
Yeah.
I feel it's a little bit of a flavor fail for not somehow referencing even just Gaia or something, since there is Gaia's Cradle.
Well, I mean, yeah, because even Growing Rights was it had Cradle in the flip side, right?
Yeah.
So even that referenced it.
This is the Forgotten Realms. It's not. It's a different multiverse, right?
Realms.
It's a different
doing
plane.
the same thing.
It's not magic enough.
What's the there's a 3-mana elf that counts the amount of elves that you tap for and also does
isn't that
an anthem effect.
Isn't that Elvish Archdruid?
That sounds right.
Yeah, because
sure,
it also has
yeah.
the anthem effect. It's 1 green.
Yeah, very similar effect. Obviously, this counts everything. So, if you wanted to go wide with squirrels, this is a pretty awesome card to include right alongside your squirrels. So, a little bit more versatile in that regard.
Yeah, and even though this card is kind of sitting at least Canadian It's sitting around 20, $23 right now. It still is a budget option compared to like a Guy's Cradle. I don't know what Growing Rights is sitting at right now,
Yeah.
but this would be even. I would even potentially try this out in like an Edric deck. I've been running this in my Toski Bear of Secrets Brawl deck, and dropping this on turn 3 or turn 2 with a Gilded Goose. On turn 1 is super effective as long as nobody removes it. Of course, it's fragile in that way. But what's nice about this, as opposed to a Guy's Cradle, and Growing Rights also has this ability, is even if this is the only thing on the battlefield that you control, you're still going to get that 1 green mana. Whereas Guy's Cradle, if you don't have any creatures, you get nothing. And with Growing Rights, it can tap for 1 green, or alternatively, it can tap for a green for each creature you control. So it's just nice that they've they're still doing this really powerful effect, but they've kind of kept up with how powerful Magic has gotten, even though these cards are less powerful than Guy's Cradle, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's definitely like fixed, right? Because Guy's Cradle like is not very fun when you don't have any creatures, right? So it's just not a good experience for such a powerful card.
Yeah, and the same is true with the other 2 cards from that. I know the card is the cycle is 5 cards, but the other 2 really, really powerful lands, Serra's Sanctum and Tolarian Academy. Like, if you don't have any enchantments or artifacts, respectively, you just get nothing.
But I think it's also fixed in the way that's easier to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Because like having to have land destruction sometimes sucks, and then your opponent just goes off because they have so many creatures. And you're like, well, that's Guy's Cradle for you.
Yep. Definitely. No, we've all been there in one game of Commander or another, but it's
Growing Rights, 45 Canadian.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Glad I got a foil.
Yeah,
I'm glad I got a foil when I did. Jeez.
An interesting thing about the art, I was looking at the art and I was like, hey, this kind of has like kind of a Rebecca Gay vibe, and then I looked at the name and it's Sam Gay.
It's Sam Gay.
But even weirder is that they're not related. However, Sam Gay had a mentorship under Rebecca Gay. So
no way.
Yeah, this is this really weird series of coincidences.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, it's probably like Smith over there on the East Coast,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always nice to see this effect. It has 2 relevant creature types, especially the elf creature type. I'd like to slot this into Azuri, and for those of you playing those Druid tribal decks, this just makes it a little bit better.
How relevant is Druid actually?
Well, there's that Druid from, I don't know what set it's from. I think maybe Odyssey. That I think it's like triple green, and it gives the like static ability that each Druid you control can tap for
taps for green.
Taps for exactly, and I've always kind of wanted to build around that. I haven't done, and I've done zero research into what that deck would look like, but I've always wanted to like. I should just sit down and do a keyword Druid search and go for it.
There's about 240 Druids.
There you go.
There's a specific type of Druid. Yeah, there's a specific Druid. It's from Morningtide, I believe, and it's a 5-drop. But whenever your Druid enters the battlefield, you draw a card. But it has this ability where you can tap 7 Druids and gain control of target player's lands.
I know the card you're talking about. Yeah, that's super devastating.
So it's not until end of turn. It's just you get all of their lands.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I've always wanted to build Druids just to get them.
What set is that from?
It's like Morningtide. I think it's. You said Morningtide, right, Riley?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think it's like Archdruid something.
If it was
Guilt Leaf Archdruid for anyone who's curious.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, get him. So it'd be whenever you cast a Druid spell, you can draw a card. And,
you may draw.
Yeah, and tap 7 untapped Druids you control. Gain control of all lands target player controls.
Yikes.
So good.
That's hilarious. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's one way to like upset somebody.
Yeah, and should not that you have to give the lands back, but if you really wanted to rub salt in the wound, you could have a Zurin orb and then sacrifice all their lands, even though they can't get them back, but just as a little cherry on top. But while we're on the subject of druids, our next card is Druid Class. It's 1 and a green for an enchantment class card. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. You can pay 2 and a green to advance this to level 2. And you may play an additional land on each of your turns, and you can pay 4 and a green to advance it to level 3. When this class becomes level 3, target land you control becomes a creature with haste, and this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. It's still a land. I mean, first of all, this is a really great budget option if you want a card that will allow you to play extra lands.
Yeah, that's a really good.
Yeah.
Instead of having to get like exploration or something.
It's kind of like half of Corsair of Crufix with like half of an exploration or a more expensive exploration. But yeah, I think it's a good fit, I think, for either a lands deck that cares about gaining some life or playing some additional lands. Or even for like an Enchantress deck that maybe you're going for like a life gain theme and you want just some incremental life gain.
Froghemoth is next. I guess I should have said it like Froghemoth.
Yeah,
there we go. It's 3 green for a 4/4 frog horror. It has trample, haste, and whenever Froghemoth deals combat damage to a player, exile up to that many target cards from their graveyard. Put a 1/1 counter on Froghemoth. For each creature card exiled this way, you gain 1 life for each non-creature card exiled this way. This is another card I've been playing in Brawl. It's really good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This is just a nice, very proactive way of dealing with somebody's graveyard. You know, if their graveyard's a problem, it's not going to be a problem for very long because they'll be dead soon.
Yeah, like Trample Haste 4/4 is like pretty scary.
Yeah, this is like in Brawl. This kind of feels like the poor man's questing beast.
Yeah, totally. Because it's 1 more mana, right?
But I mean, like, it gets big.
It has Trample.
Yeah.
Which Questing Beast doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it can get big and it can gain you life. It's just a really solid. It's just a nice 5 mana 4/4. Just a really. This is all I ever wanted from a rare, honestly.
And it's a really cool like other version of Skooz, because it kind of does the same thing, except instead of paying mana to do it, you're getting in combat damage.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. You're just hitting him in the face.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice the pair of legs coming out of its mouth. That's
it's eating somebody.
That is terrifying.
That great.
Is terrifying. Okay, Froghemoth. Great card. Next up, we have Gnoll Hunter. It's 1 and a green for a 2/2 Gnoll. It has Pack Tactics. Whenever it attacks, if you attacked with creatures with total power 6 or greater this combat, put a 1/1 counter on Gnoll Hunter.
These guys took me to victory in my one draft I did. They're great.
How many did you draft?
3.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure about Pack Tactics, but after playing with it, it's pretty good.
Yeah, because 6 isn't that much, you know.
It really isn't.
Yeah, like in draft, it's definitely a good common. I'm not sure if I would play something like this in Commander. Like I would consider it for Miri, like my Miri +1/+1 counters deck, just because it grows every turn potentially.
Right.
But I'm a little bit concerned about like Pack Tactics, like just consistently being able to get it going. That might be a concern.
Yeah, I think any other format it's a little iffy, but like it's really good in draft. But other than that, like I don't know if I would play this in Commander at all.
Yeah. Instruments of the Bards is next. It's 1 green for a legendary artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a harmony counter on Instrument of the Bards, and then you can pay 3 and a green to tap it to search your library for a creature card with mana value equal to the number of harmony counters on it. Reveal the card and put it into your hand. If that card is legendary, create a treasure token, then shuffle. I think what I like most about this card, besides the art, is that it's just one green. This is sort of like this really, I'm sure you guys would agree with me, reminds me of Yisan, but I've seen this played in Brawl, and just that, it just sits there. It's a May ability. You don't have to put the counter on, so you can really decide what you want to search for and when you want to search for it, and then when you're ready to pay the cost to tutor, you can do it and put it in your hand, and hey, if it's a legendary, you get a treasure token. And at first reading the card, I thought that the activation cost was too steep, and of course I'm thinking of Yisan, which just puts the creature on the battlefield. Like, this card is a real powerhouse.
Yeah, if you're getting to the end and you have like nothing to do, like 4 mana to tutor up a creature is a really good value. Obviously, like if it's like turn 5, turn 6, and you're spending 4 mana just to tutor a creature, you may fall behind. But other than that, like, it's a really good card.
And you certainly don't want to be putting this on the battlefield on turn 5, right? Like, you want to get it up there as soon as possible so you can really really choose how many harmony counters you want on it.
Yeah, like opening hand
like
is best.
Aether Vial kind of vibe. Yeah.
Exactly.
Also, the art is amazing.
I love the bear.
It's I love the little rabbit on the
yeah, I love the rabbit. I also love the little it's like some kind of like beige leopard next door. Like, he's just like, yeah, and then there's a little cat above him, a little kitty,
a little cat on the cat. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. And actually, as a little sidetrack on cats here, did you guys know that tigers don't purr, but they like squinch their faces and close their eyes to let you know that they're like, that they trust you, because it's a sign that they're letting their guard down because they can't see.
Oh,
but they don't purr.
I did not know that.
Tigers
Interesting.
don't purr. Yeah.
I guess I've never been close enough to a tiger to observe that.
No, me neither, but I read it in an article. The person who in the article was, but no, not me.
They seem to be convinced.
Next up, we have Long Rest. It's X green for a sorcery. Return X target cards with different mana values from your graveyard to your hand. If 8 or more cards were returned to your hand this way, your life total becomes equal to your starting life total. Exile Long Rest. Wow, this card, I totally missed this in preview season. This kind of reminds me of that card from Hour of Devastation. The Menagerie card. I can't exactly remember what it was called, but it was like an X card, and it let you tutor for creatures from your deck to your hand, and X had to be, the creature's converted mana cost, but they all had to have different names. I tried it on my Sliver deck for a while, and it did work quite well, but that bonus of your life total becoming your starting life total is kind of insane. Like in Commander, like I could really see this shining.
Yeah, and you're getting back all the cards that you've used that you really like from your graveyard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like this is, I mean, we have like Praetor's Council or
like seasons past.
Seasons past, yeah. Like
Seasons
in
Past
green,
is a good
like
one.
so we're already doing that in the format, and this having that kind of bonus is. I think this could slot in to the place of those cards we just mentioned in those decks, and
because even like 5 mana to get back 2 cards isn't so bad, depending on what the cards are.
Yeah.
If you really need them or something like that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think like if you're looking at it like value wise, I think I'd want to put like X3. That would be like on par with Seasons Past. Of course, Seasons Past doesn't have any limit on how many cards you return. They just have to all have different converted mana costs.
yeah.
yeah.
And Praetor's Council just gets you everything.
Yeah. But the thing I like about this is it does have that kind of fail case where you can just pay 4 and get a card you need back, right? Like you don't have to be at that stage of the game where you just dump a bunch of mana into this. So it has a little bit more flexibility in that regard. And it's templated where it's just getting back a card, not a permanent or a creature or anything specific like that.
Yeah, if you really need that land, get that fetch land back.
Totally.
someone destroyed your Gaia's cradle.
Oops, there you go. Bob's your uncle.
There's way too much Gaia's Cradle hate going on in the format.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is definitely a super sweet card.
But when that situation happens, you just have to be like, okay, guys, I think everybody just needs to take a long rest.
Nice.
Hi.
Yes. You know what? Riley just won flavor win of this episode. Got him.
A new award. Yeah.
Next up, we have Neverwinter Dryad. It's 1 green for a 1/1 Dryad. You can pay 2 to sacrifice it to search your library for a basic forest card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Wow, they're really giving these like these non-white land tutor effects the kind of white treatment here. Like, I don't think we need to see basic in front of forest there. It could just be like, I want Sky Shroud's Claim, Ranger's Path, Nature's Lore, just tutor a forest. Come on, we don't. Are there any lands even in standard right now that are like any non-basic lands that are basic land types? I don't think so.
Yeah, we have the snow duels.
Oh right,
and the triomes.
Right, yeah, and Throne of Eldraine is still legal.
Triomes are still there. Yeah,
and so we have the 5 lands from Throne of Eldraine. God damn it, you guys are right.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Dryad kind of reminds me of a Diligent Farmhand, but it doesn't count as a Muscle Burst in my graveyard, so I'm a little bit disappointed in that regard.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. Yeah. Ochre Jelly. Ochre Jelly is next. Ochre Jelly is next. Thank you, Eric. It's X and a green for a 0/0 ooze with trample, and when it enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. And it has split. When Ochre Jelly dies, if it had 2 or more 1/1 counters on it, create a token that's a copy of it at the beginning of the next end step. The token enters the battlefield with half that many 1/1 counters on it, rounded
So this
down.
is big enough. It just kind of sticks around for a while and keeps multiplying.
It's very,
which is pretty sweet.
very sticky. It's making us do math, which is not my strong suit, but I like it.
Magic
so
is
it
math.
has to have 2 or more counters. So like at minimum you're putting in 2 into X. So it'd be like 3 mana, 2/2, and then it splits down into 2 1/1s. Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like if you pay like 5 mana total, so X is 4, get a 4/4, and it splits into a 2/2. So that's not bad, I guess.
Well, it splits into 2 2/2s, and then those 2/2s will split into 1/1s.
And
do they gain that ability?
It's a copy.
2 or more 1/1 cards create a token that's a copy of it.
It's a copy of it.
Of
so
it. Okay.
It's so
yeah.
And then if
So that keeps happening.
And then if you had like Oran Reef Ooze from Zendikar Rising, which is like every time a creature with a 1/1 counter on it attacks, if the Ooze is also attacking, all creatures with 1/1 counters on them get an additional 1/1 counter.
Yeah.
And this is just like, you better just concede. I must have not opened one of these because I would have tried this in Brawl. I'm an Oran Reef Ooze enthusiast.
Yeah, it's like an Ivy Elemental with upside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is super sticky.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super cool. I'd try this in my Miri deck.
Old Gnawbone is next. It's 5 green for a 7/7 legendary dragon with flying, of course. And whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, create that many treasure tokens. So for each damage dealt, you get a treasure token. So if you got a bunch of creatures with trample and they block, you're still getting treasure tokens. This card is insane.
This card is
card's
just
pretty nuts.
Ludicrous. Yeah. This card is just like unnecessary.
Because then it also has really good stats too. So you're like 7 mana for a 7/7 flyer. Okay.
I mean, it can also sit in your command zone, so you always have access to it. So just want to play like a big green deck with some big dummies and like some big X spells. Go for it.
Yeah, and then you can just like Wild Speaker returns and draw 7 cards at instant speed.
Oh. And then, and just have a bunch of treasures.
You know what, Riley? I should build the deck. I've been running this in my Toski Bear of Secrets Brawl deck which works really well because you play this with a board full of guys, and hopefully a Garrick's Uprising. They all have trample, so even if they block, you still get to draw. You still get to draw cards, and you get the treasures. And then in your second main phase, you get to play all the cards that you drew. But just throwing this in the command zone. Why the hell not? It's a great top end beefy creature. But yeah, this card is just a great green top end card. I would even try this in Yisan, but I really try to stick to creatures that have ETB effects.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like at the point in Yisan where you're getting to like
7.
5. Yeah, at that point you're pretty much good. Like you've got it in the bag.
Hopefully I'm winning. Hopefully I'm winning the game, unless you fuckers try to stop me.
Yeah, because at 5 you get Seaborn Muse, and then it's just like game from there, right?
Hopefully, but you guys always try to like mess with what I'm trying to do. I don't know why.
Well, whenever you play Yisan, I'm just like lucky number 5. You gotta watch him.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Hopefully I'm not hard casting it.
Yeah.
Yo, that Seedborn Muse with that Guiltleaf Archdruid. Just like a turn cycle and everybody's lands are yours.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah. Well,
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yo.
Hey, is Seedborn Muse a druid?
A spirit druid, I think.
Is it?
Maybe she's just a spirit.
Spirit.
Too bad. So close, eh? You could have tapped her as
so
well.
Close.
Next up, we have Purple Worm. It's 5 green for an 8/7 worm. This spell costs 2 less to cast if a creature died this turn, and it has Ward 2. So just a friendly reminder, whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter it unless that player pays 2.
So I like this card because of the flavor it has. So you really know you're in D&D because all of the worms in Magic are WU.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And this is WO.
Yeah.
So this one didn't descend from the dragons that lost the Dragon War.
Yeah.
It's just a regular worm. That's very
a little disappointing.
Worm.
Yeah.
Didn't even notice that. Wow.
I did. That was the first thing I noticed when I saw this card. I was like, man, you don't think we have it hard enough with Worm Tribal? Like we have to put an O in there? Like, come on.
This can't go in my Grothama deck.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm joking.
Ranger's class is next. It's 1 and a green for an enchantment class card. When it enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token, and you can pay 1 and a green to advance it to level 2. Whenever you attack, put a 1/1 counter on target attacking creature. Then you can pay 3 and a green to advance it to level 3. You may look at the top card of your library anytime, and you may cast creature spells from the top of your library.
Hell yeah.
This card's nuts.
This card is great.
It's so good.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're paying 2 for a 2/2, so you're already getting good value there. And then when you upgrade it, like every single turn that you attack, you're putting a 1/1 counter on a creature. So pretty much the wolf that you paid 2 mana for is going to be a 3/3.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to, yeah.
Like bare minimum. Yeah.
Yeah. And then so like if you're on the play, talking like, standard or whatever, you're probably always going to be able to attack with your wolf because your opponent with 2 mana, it's really hard to have something with 4 toughness. So you're always going to be getting in there with that wolf, and then you can keep upping that, or if you play something else, you can put the counter on that. So this card lets you be very aggressive if you're on the play.
Yeah.
In the late game, like its card advantage is like a future sight for creatures.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was oh god, what was that card? I think it was also from Hour of Devastation. So I'm being real Hour of Devastation boy today. It's it's like something of the Menagerie that gave that effect. You could look at the top card of your library, and if it was a creature spell, you could.
It's like Vizier.
Yes.
Oh,
exactly.
Vizier. Yeah.
Of the Menagerie, it was like 3 and a green or something.
I love that card.
Yeah, that's a great card.
It is 3 and a green.
Good card, yeah.
And I think cards like that tend to be a little underrated. Cards that let you look at the top card of your library and play it. Future Sight I think is the most versatile because it lets you, whatever it is, you can play it. but then we have like Experimental Frenzy and
Bolus's Citadel.
Exactly. You know, like there are a lot of instances of that effect that are more narrow or less narrow, but I think
but I think the other nice thing about Vizier is that Future Sight, you have to play with the card revealed. With the other ones, you can look at the top card, so no one else can see what you have still.
Oh yeah. No, that's totally like that's much better. But you know, I think.
But I guess if you're always playing the top card, Future Sight is like whatever.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and you know, like the thing is, like honestly, I think sometimes like in Paper Magic, and I found myself having to make this distinction a lot more lately since I've started to play Arena a lot more. Is that, you know, in Paper Magic, if the card says that the top card of your library has to be revealed, like a Courser of Crufix or the like, or cards we've been talking about, it's easier to remember that that's an available card that you can use. Whereas, you know, I'm just speaking from personal experience, is if it's a card like this or like Vizier of the Menagerie, where it's, you know, it's not revealed and I have to like check, I kind of forget about it. So, you know,
that's an interesting point.
From a paper perspective, it's like, it's almost better if it's revealed. But I think that definitely says more about me as a player than the, you know, the power level of any of the cards we've been talking about. But, you know, the point being, you know, when you have access to the top card of your library, it's almost, you know, you have potentially access to every card in your deck. So it's just, in summation, it's very good effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, it gives you an extra card in hand, but then if you play that extra card, there's another extra card. And then another extra card.
And then another extra card. Next up, we have the Tarascu. It's 6 triple green for a 10/10. It's the Tarascu. It's a 10/10 legendary dinosaur. The Tarascu has haste and ward 10 as long as it was cast.
Shit.
And whenever it attacks, it fights target creature defending player controls.
Sorry,
And
what attacks?
the Tarascu attacks, and it is just the Tarascu is just tearing up that town. They've even sent like birds to attack it, and the Tarascu is just.
You keep saying Tarascu. Fucking damn it!
Just reminds me of a whole Seth.
Yeah, I wouldn't be so scared of a dinosaur called the Tarascu.
But this is a whole like Godzilla situation going on in this town.
Yeah, this is lame. Like, I mean, the Tarrasque is supposed to be like this mythical creature that's like unstoppable and just decimates like entire cities and villages. And this is just like, it's like 9 mana for a 10/10 that only has haste and ward 10 if it was cast. It's like, what? Why are you so worried about me casting this thing? Let me cheat it into play and slap you with it.
Yeah, it should have and trample too.
Yeah.
It kind of, and like the city, the little village town kind of reminds me of when Emrakul went to Innistrad, and like Emrakul was way more scary. Things with tentacles are way more scary.
Oh yeah, especially when they're
than
flying.
dinosaurs.
Yeah,
totally.
yeah.
But yeah, like why the hell doesn't this have trample?
I don't know. This thing is just like all around, just kind of like, okay, it's still just a 9 mana 10/10. Like that's a big commitment. Like
Pretty much.
What about what's that big green dinosaur that reduces its cost?
Oh,
based on the power.
Galta.
Galta.
Yeah.
Now Galta's a cool dinosaur.
Galta's sick.
Galta's good stuff.
Yeah, and the Tarrasque's like, hey, I'm a Tarrasque.
Hey, meet my younger brother Tarascu.
Tarrasque.
I brought him.
Tail whip.
Alrighty, so no one's building a commander deck around this guy. Just build Galta, really.
Yeah, Galta's way better.
Varys Silvery Moon Ranger is next. It's 1 green for a 3/3 legendary human elf ranger. He's a hybrid. He has reach and ward 1, and whenever you cast a creature or planeswalker spell, venture into the dungeon. This ability triggers only once each turn, and whenever you complete a dungeon, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token.
Because if you could do it more than once a turn, this would be too powerful.
I don't think
Yeah.
it would be. I've
No,
played
it
against some
would not,
dungeon
yeah.
cards and with them, and it's not too powerful.
Yeah, I think this would I think they nerfed dungeons too hard. Like they nerfed the venture mechanic too hard because there's a lot of cards that have this kind of oh, but you can only do it once. Like watch out.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
like the venture mechanic is not broken by any stretch of the means. So I think
No,
this
it's
would have been totally fine being able to do it multiple times in a turn.
And
Like, I feel like, yeah, like, the venture into the dungeon mechanic at some point must have been stronger. Maybe the dungeons were better or something.
yeah,
That's
at some
possible.
yeah,
point
the
in
effects.
R&D.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that would make a little bit more sense. Maybe they were concerned it would be like too much like lesson learn for limited and just like
Yeah.
totally
and,
dominate.
and I think
Yeah.
like for the last 2 years basically since like Throne of Eldraine came out, it's just been like most of the standard sets have been very powerful. And I think things started to kind of drop off with Strixhaven, and then we got this, which is a replacement for a core set. So it is by design less powerful than a standard set. So I think they were trying to stay in line with that, and I think that's why the dungeons are a little. It's not that they're underwhelming in a vacuum. It's just that they're not what we've gotten used to over the last 18 to 24 months.
Sure.
That's definitely a possibility.
But then also just, like, playing with it, like, you have these creatures that have that ability on it, and it's like, if you don't go, even in draft, like, if you don't go for a dungeon deck, like, I haven't seen dungeons be good yet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's not even like you can kind of you can't like splash dungeons because the effects in the dungeons just aren't that powerful like when you venture.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
alone.
and then-
Like if you're just getting a scry and a goblin out of it, it's like whatever, you know. But if
you need to get to the end of that dungeon.
to make it worth your while, for
Well,
sure.
you need that
Yeah.
2/2 green wolf.
Exactly. Well, yeah, in this case, but you better slow your horses down because you can only do it once a turn.
Yeah, I just don't think they needed to. Well, we agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like how this guy's also Silvery Moon, not just Silver Moon.
That's right,
but they added that Y in there.
He's a silvery boy. That's right. Yeah, I like that too. I was reading it and I almost said Silver Moon.
Yeah.
Werewolf Pack Leader is next. And it looks like a lady in a dress with a wolf head. Anyways, it's double green for a 3/3 human werewolf. It has pack tactics. So whenever Werewolf Pack Leader attacks, if you attacked with creatures with total power 6 or greater this combat, draw a card. And it has an activated ability for 3 and a green. Until end of turn, Werewolf Pack Leader has base power and toughness 5/3, gains trample, and isn't a human.
This card is
That's really cool.
awesome.
Especially like transforms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the art on this card. It's like it's super terrifying. I recently rewatched An American Werewolf in Paris, and like the effects aren't great, but it's sort of nostalgic for me. And like werewolves are super scary, so the art on this card is really kind of scary to me. But
Yeah.
Yeah, you're paying 2 mana for a 3/3.
Yeah.
Like, that's just super solid.
definitely,
Yeah, a 2 mana for a 3/3 that can potentially draw you a card every turn it's attacking and can pump itself up if it needs to. Like, this card is just all around just a solid role player. And I'd play this in Commander. I'm definitely going to play this in Mono Green Stompy and Canlander because this is
I was
like,
just gonna ask.
this is like bang on. This
Oh,
is like
yeah.
I play vanilla 3/2s for 2 mana in that deck.
Fuck
And
yeah.
this is a 2 mana 3/3 that draws a card and gets bigger in the late game. Like, this is just a house.
You got pack tactics right there, baby.
Boom.
Wild Shape is next. It's 1 green for an instant. Choose one. Until end of turn, target creature you control has that base power and toughness, becomes that creature type, and gains that ability. and it's a 1/3 turtle with hexproof, a 1/5 spider with reach, and a 3/3 elephant with trample. Whew.
This is a really interesting, unique card. Because, like, especially if you're in, like, a 1/1 counter deck, you're just like, oh yeah, this thing has 4 counters on it, and it's a 1/1. But now it's a 3/3 with trample, and it has +4 from the 1/1 counters. So it's pretty good.
Or like using it as a protection spell, right? Making it the turtle with
Yeah, and I was
hexproof.
gonna say it has protection built in.
Like, to be fair, I think the most important effect here is hexproof. And I think like a card like Snakeskin Veil would be a better fit for like a +1/+1 counters deck.
Definitely, yeah, because it gives a +1/+1 counter.
Yeah, and hexproof.
Right. Yeah. Right.
It doesn't turn it into a 1/3.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not hyped
But
on
it has
this.
versatility.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Can be good for what makes poison counters?
Infect.
Infect, yeah, Infect and Modern. It's a possibility.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it does. It definitely does have that. It definitely does have that versatility. It is. It does have potential. You find a cursed idol. Is next. It's 1 and a green for a sorcery. Choose one. Smash it. Destroy target artifact. Lift the curse. Destroy target enchantment. Steal its eyes. Create a treasure token and venture into the dungeon.
Again, the versatility on it's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
We have a lot of cards that do destroy target artifact or enchantment. And if you're really in a pinch for extra mana, you can always go that route.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
And then venture into a dungeon and get like a scry.
the only place it falls short is that it's a sorcery. But like
Yeah.
for a card that, you know, in the early game when you're developing and blowing up a problem artifact or enchantment is likely not going to be an issue at that moment, you can ramp yourself out a turn by getting a treasure and maybe getting a scry or, you know, gaining a life from venturing into a dungeon for the first time that game, right? So I think creating a treasure and scrying one as a fail case is like not too bad.
Yeah, but if it was, I agree. But if it was an instant, we would all just run this in place of like naturalize because it has that third effect. They're just not going to print that.
Yeah, there's like 4 other cards that are just strictly better than naturalize though.
I know that, Riley. I know, but I'm just, I'm just saying if we're using the 1 and a green as like a metric for a cost for destroy target artifact or enchantment, no, I would sooner I'd rather run like Nature's Claim or in like a slower deck I'd run Crows and Grip because you can't even respond to it.
Yeah,
but no, it is. It's.
I mean,
yeah.
One thing you'll notice as you go through these these you find or you do or whatever kind of cards, however you want to call them, is like in the artwork it depicts like the same party in these different situations, which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Did not see that. That's cool.
I think I would have made a good DM because, in my experience,
there's still time.
Yeah, there's still time. I'm not that old yet.
Yeah, you can still do it.
In my experience, the DMs that I had DMing my parties, my adventures, that I'm not exactly sure what to call them, but they were a little too loose with the rules. And I think I would have been a good DM from the perspective of these are the rules. This is what's going to happen.
Get in line.
If you violate the rules, hey, maybe you're just dead. We got to rewrite your character. Which is something that sort of made me enjoy Magic more, was my experience with Pathfinder. I didn't play D&D. I played Pathfinder. But it made me enjoy Magic more because with Magic, the rules are clearly outlined and you don't have a choice. You have to follow them. And that's it.
Just,
and with
good luck understanding them.
with the DM, well, that's why I play with both of you. You could just explain the rules to me. I don't need to understand them. But with the DMs that I played with in Pathfinder, who were controlling the campaigns, it seemed like the rules, they were, sometimes the rules were enforced, sometimes they weren't, and that's just not how I like to go through life, whether I'm playing a game or whether I'm just live my life. But yeah, you're right, Riley. There is still time. I could DM. It's not too late. Okay, well, we are going to move on to our.
I don't think we actually talked about You Happen Upon a Glade.
We have not yet.
No, we didn't. Okay, no, that's my bad. I was on the whys.
Yeah.
And you guys are probably like, why are you like this? And that's a whole.
Just sometimes.
That's a whole other like 2-hour podcast that maybe we'll do that at episode 200.
It's more like You Happen Upon a Bitch.
So you happen upon a glade. It's 2 and a green for an instant. Choose one. Journey on. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Reveal them and put them into your hand. Then shuffle. Or make camp. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand.
It's instant.
Yeah, what's not to like about that?
This card is.
Yeah.
I think this card is just really good. Like every time I've played with this card, it's just like this perfect little glue that holds my hand together. Where it's like, hey, maybe you got a sweet card in your graveyard, a sweet permanent in your graveyard that you want to bring back and use again. Or, hey, maybe you just want to curve out and make sure you're hitting your land drops so you can actually play this wonderful game called Magic. And I think it just does a really good job at playing either role and being good at pretty much any point in the game.
Yes, sir.
Also, I like the little like Draconoid creature there on the right that's just like kind of hunched over. Like, what are you doing, buddy?
He's a Dragonborn.
Oh, I bet armor is just so hot and kind of scratches up against your hot, sweaty skin. Ugh.
It's also heavy.
Ugh, god damn it.
Do you think Dragonborn sweat like us?
Well, no, because they're probably hot-blooded.
Yeah, well, they're gonna be a reptile.
It and see.
Right?
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to look into it.
Yeah, he's got a fever of 103.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Okay, so now we are moving on to gold. And our first gold card is Bard class. It is an enchantment class card for a red and a green. Legendary creatures you control enter the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on them. And you can pay a red and a green to advance it to level 2. Legendary spells you cast cost a red and a green less to cast. This effect reduces only the amount of colored mana you pay. Then to advance it to level 3, you pay 3 red-green. Whenever you cast a legendary spell, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play them this turn.
This card is nuts.
Yeah, legendary matters, I guess.
Yeah, so I've already gone against I haven't watched yet, but Seth from Goldfish has done a modern deck on it already.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also went against the deck in standard, and my opponent literally just played their whole deck.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of nutty.
Yeah, because I guess that 3rd level just cares about a legendary spell. It doesn't necessarily have to be a creature.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I guess it was I don't play standard. I've been playing historic. Sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was historic. But yeah, like they just played their whole deck, and then you like play Samet, and it gives like your creatures haste, and then you're like, oh, I swing in and kill you.
Classic.
Yeah. So yeah, this card's really powerful.
I'm gonna fuck up this name too. Is it Drizzit?
I've always said Drist Doerden.
Drist Durden. For 3 green white, it's a 3/3 legendary elf ranger. It has double strike, and when it enters the battlefield, create a Goonie Wagvar. Gwenavar, a legendary 4/1 green cat creature token with trample. Whenever a creature dies, if it had power greater than Drizzit's power, put a number of 1/1 counters on Drizzit equal to the difference.
Hell yeah. 3/3 double strike with a 4/1 trampler that dies and makes the 3/3 double strike bigger.
Yeah, and you don't even need a deck.
And it's whenever a creature dies, so it could be your opponent's creatures too.
Yeah.
So this.
Yeah, it's any creature.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, you could enchant this thing and then cast Winds of Wrath and kill everything that's not enchanted, and boom, you got some 1/1 counters. Yeah.
A big old boy.
Jig old bitty.
Gretchen Titchwillow is next. It's a 0/4 for a green and a blue. Legendary Halfling Druid. Is that a new creature type for this set?
Halfling. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, because they've always been like. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. Anyways,
That's pretty cool.
Her activated ability is 2 green-white to draw a card, and you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Something that we're all very familiar with in these colors. But I think is, in terms of this card, is like very fair, right? Because if we have like a growth spiral, we don't have to pay that extra 2. We just get to do the thing. So yeah, this seems like a cool card, and definitely like if you want to have a lands deck and make it a little more fair, quote unquote, like this is a potential commander for that deck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or it's just like you can still, like in the 99, there's just another piece that makes you draw cards more and put more lands out, because you can just do that ability as many times as you want.
As many times as you can afford it.
Yeah.
It looks like Halfling is a new creature type. Yeah, in this set.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
there's 3 halflings in this set.
yeah, Lightfoot Rogue, Gretchen, and Prosperous Innkeeper. Which, I mean, Prosperous Innkeeper is one that we didn't talk about, but that's a pretty spicy one.
Can you read that to us?
Yeah, he's 1 and a green for a halfling citizen. So we're getting that much closer to making a citizen tribal deck. He's a 1/1, and when he enters the battlefield, you create a treasure token. And whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. So just like early ramp mixed with Soul Sister.
What are citizens from? Is that from Commander?
Citizens?
Yeah,
I know there was citizens
we've had
in
citizen.
like Ravnica. There was some citizen cards.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I bet there it's a city plane. It's like Coruscant. Like, get out of here, citizens.
Doing a Scryfall search, it's also only in this set.
Oh, you know what it is? It's plane-wide celebration that creates citizens.
There you go.
So I'm sure if you...
Oh, I thought there was that card from like some Commander set that created.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Oh, I'm thinking of Survivors.
So there's Mobilized District, which creates... It's a citizen land. And there's Plane-Wide Celebration, which creates 2/2 citizen creature tokens that are all colors. But then there's also some older ones. There's Acacian Town, 5 and a white. I don't know which set. This is from Fallen Empires. Put 4
nice.
1/1 white citizen creature tokens into play. So there you go.
This is like when they brought back serfs in Commander Legends.
Yeah, Acacian Crier, which is 2 and a white for a human spell shaper that you can pay 1 and a white, tap, discard a card, create 2 1/1 white citizen creature tokens. So we're getting there. It's a slow go, but
Slow go, boy.
And actually, I think I was thinking of Thralls with that Commander. Ainsley's gonna be so mad. We've had so many sidetracks on this episode. Okay, so next up we have Monk Class. It's a white and a blue for an enchantment class card. The second spell you cast each turn costs 1 less to cast, and then you can pay a white and a blue to advance it to level 2. When this class becomes level 2, return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. And to advance it to level 3, you can pay 1, a white, and a blue. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. For as long as it remains exiled, you may cast this card from exile as long as you've cast another spell this turn. See, this is where the coin in Hearthstone would come in handy, because you just boom, got the coin, baby. Yeah. That's why they don't do this kind of shit.
This is really cool because, like, with that third ability from level 3, even if someone destroys your Monk class card, it already has the ability to be able to be played, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Also pairs very well with its first ability in reducing that cost. So
yeah, that card will also be reduced by 1. So
that's a pretty cool form of card advantage. I can get behind it.
I like it. Yeah.
Orcus Prince of Underneath is next. That's kind of a funny name.
Fuck you.
Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. I'm having a little dyslexia today. Orcus, Prince of Underneath is next. No, I'm kidding. It's Undeath. It's a Prince of Undeath is next. It's X2, black and a red for a 5/3 legendary demon. It has flying and trample. And when it enters the battlefield, choose one. Each other creature gets -X until end of turn. You lose X life. Or return up to X target creature cards with total mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. They gain haste until end of turn.
Yeah, there's something about this guy's belly that reminds me of my brother Kellen.
Oh yeah, this belly is very Kellen on this. And Kellen is the Prince of the Underneath.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What are you eating under there?
He's like underneath.
Sorry, Eric, were you going to say something actually relevant about this
the card? Yeah.
I was going to say it's kind of underwhelming. It's really expensive to do the whole X cost with this card.
If it was just get rid of the 2 and it would be much better.
It would be really
even
overpowered.
give stats less.
Yeah, but like 4 mana for a 5/3 flying trample, like not the worst, especially if you're doing like some sort of demon tribal thing. Like you could do worse. Like it's only going to get better from there, right? But
yeah, and I think like it's better to look at the like return up to X target creature cards.
Yeah.
So like if you pay like an extra 3 mana, you're getting like another like 3 mana thing, and it gains haste, so it's not bad.
Oh yeah, because it's total mana value, so that's a little.
Yeah, it's not like each one; it's total CMC.
Yeah, it's just like the set just feels very safe. You know, that's
it's a core set.
Yeah. It's a core set.
Yeah, but core set doesn't mean it has to be like totally underwhelming.
I don't know. All core sets are pretty safe,
I guess. Yeah.
Rogue class is next. It's a blue and a black for an enchantment class card. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of that player's library face down. You may look at it for as long as it remains exiled. And then you can pay 1, a blue and a black to advance it to level 2. Creatures you control have menace. And then you can advance it to level 3 for 2, a blue and a black. You may play cards exiled with Rogue class, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells. That's really something they've kind of cemented in the last, even I think even like during the lifespan of this podcast is the stealing spells from your opponents, putting them into exile, and then being able to cast them and not worrying about the mana cost. I feel like for a lot of my Magic career, that wasn't a thing. Like that you didn't just get that freebie after you stole the cards. Like you had to be able to pay their mana costs. But I like it. I like that they're doing it.
It definitely helps, like, because I think they're designing with Commander in mind in a lot of these cases, where it's like, you might not have access to those colors, so.
Yeah, definitely.
It makes the ability actually useful.
Yeah,
exactly. That's true. It's like, let's give them a random ability that will be useful half the time.
Or like 1/5 of the time, potentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, then again, like with the level 3, like if this is off the battlefield, you can't play those cards anymore.
Right. Yeah.
But the other fun part about that is they're exiled face down, so your opponent won't know what you exiled.
Yeah, it's like Praetor's Grasp. One of my
you can't look at them. Too bad.
Yeah, one of my favorite like interruption cards.
Don't touch
of all time.
Yeah, your opponent's like, "What did you exile?" It's like, I'm not telling you. Too bad.
What'd you do it for?
Skeletal Swarming is next. It's 3 black-green for an enchantment. Each skeleton you control has trample, attacks each combat fable, and gets +X/+O, where X is the number of other skeletons you control. And at the beginning of your end step, create a tapped 1/1 black skeleton creature token. If a creature died this turn, create 2 of those tokens instead.
This card is really good.
How many skeletons are in green?
Yeah.
I don't think that many.
There's a few. There's some from like the Ravnica blocks that because like Golgari, right?
Yeah, I guess it's just black green.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So there's black green skeletons.
There's that one,
which is interesting.
There's that plant skeleton with retrace that's like a hybrid Golgari mana.
There you go.
Yep.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like skeletons is still a horrible tribe, but
Yes.
this is a step in the right direction. We're onto something here, boys.
Okay.
They will slowly gain power.
Like this card is swarming. Like it's next to impossible to beat in limited. And
Yes.
in Commander, this just looks like a ton of fun. Just like getting 2 skeletons. Like I'm sure you can construct a deck where you can consistently get 2 skeletons from this each turn. So like, go for it.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah. Totally. Sorcerer's class is next. It's a blue and a red for an enchantment class card. Whenever it enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards, and then you can pay a blue and a red to advance it to level 2. Creatures you control have tap, add a blue or a red to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast an instant or sorcery spell or to gain a class level. That's nice. And then to advance it to level 3, you pay 3 blue-red. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, that spell deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of instant and sorcery spells you've cast this turn. That seems kind of innocuous, but you can kill people doing that. It's like Riley, you just storm off.
Yep.
Hello, Storm.
Yeah.
Another storm payoff.
Totally.
It's a little awkward. I mean, it's an enchantment. Like, obviously, 1,000-Year Storm's an enchantment that can kill people good. But like, this one does some things in the meantime, right? Like, it requires a little bit of setup. But the fact that, like, I would be happy playing this in a deck where you're also, like, running things like Shark Typhoon or Metallurgic Summonings or, like, Young Pyromancer, like, where you're creating a bunch of tokens. Because then, the following turn, those tokens can pay for your spells and level this thing up. So then, like, one turn goes round, you've got a army of dudes, and if you're going unopposed, you're going to, like, just storm off and kill your opponents dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Kill him.
Yeah, I like this
Kill
card.
him good dead.
Kill him dead.
Kill him good dead. Next up, we have the Dragon God itself, Tiamat. Is this a D&D character?
Yeah, Tiamat. It's the god of dragons.
A Tiamat. It's 2 and Wooburg, white, blue, black, red, green for a 7/7 legendary dragon god with flying. And when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, search your library for up to 5 dragon cards not named Tiamat that each have different names. Reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle. This is not good in Brawl, by the way.
Why?
It's just too slow.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Or it's either
is...
too slow, or if you're playing like a mono black control deck against this, it's just you just keep removing everything until your opponent gets so frustrated they concede.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't play dragons if you don't have any dragons in hand.
But I mean, like, once you play her, like, you get 5 dragons out of your deck.
Yeah.
Get better dragons.
And like I've seen players like after the like on the 3rd cast, most Brawl decks don't have 5 dragons to tutor for.
Well, they built their deck wrong.
Did they though? Because like they're so the first 2 casts they get 10
changelings. At the very least, they can be using changelings.
Right. They need it's a 60 card deck rally. They need other things. They need to fix. It's 5 colors. Come on.
They need to slam as many dragons as they can get in that motherfucking deck. Like, come on.
I think they want to win a little bit too. So,
clearly it's not working.
And your solution is to make the deck worse.
Yes.
That's how you win.
That's how you do it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure we'll see this in Commander, but I think with like the Eminence ability on the Ur-Dragon, I think that until we see something
this is more of a 99.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is a great. Because even like if you're still doing like a Scion of the Ur-Dragon thing, no.
I mean, you're going for old Gnawbone with Scion.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to cast
That's right.
this to get the
That's right.
trigger.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, next up we have Volo Guide to Monsters. He's 2 green-blue for a 3/2 legendary human wizard. Whenever you cast a creature spell that doesn't share a creature type with a creature you control or a creature card in your graveyard, copy that spell. This guy can be very explosive. Like
This is cool.
doubling up your creature spells is kind of nuts. This is like this kind of reminds like I've played against this and it kind of reminds me of like Riku, and like the deck has to be a lot more curated, but it's just it can get really out of hand.
It's a cool kind of tribal deck because like all of your creatures need to be a different creature type compared to them need to being all the same.
Yeah.
So it's just a different way of doing that, and it's kind of fun.
Yeah, super cool. Yeah. I know what I'm picking for my elemental though. Picking Maul Drifter.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 2 Maul Drifters. Oh man, that's all I've ever wanted in life.
You got to. Yeah. Xanathar Guild Kingpin is next. It's 4 blue-black for a 5/6 legendary beholder. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose target opponent. Until end of turn, that player can't cast spells. You may look at the top card of their library anytime, and you may play the top card of their library. And you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast spells this way. So, I really like the art on this card. It's like kind of like Jabba the Hutt. His little thing there, and he's probably eating those things in the tanks. But the problem I have with it, and I've played against this card a few times, it's an upkeep trigger. So as soon as, like, you know, you're waiting till turn 6 to play this, you're in Dimir, you're probably waiting till turn 6, maybe turn 5 if you're lucky. Maybe turn 4 if you're really lucky. But by that point, you know, like, you have the removal spell, so you're just going to get rid of this, and then I'm talking about Brawl here, or Commander, but they're going to have to recast it for 8. And so it's just, I don't really... I think it's a little bit too slow. It's got good stats for its cost, but and it's a really powerful effect. But I just think that type of effect, people are just gonna want to just I'm just gonna nix that. I don't want you playing with my stuff. Like Riley's over here going off with Halar. I don't even care. You're not playing with my stuff.
Just get away from my stuff. I'd rather die before I give you my stuff.
Yeah.
Turn 1, I'm dropping an island. We're playing a Soul Ring. We're playing a Dimir Signet. We're playing Mana Crypt.
Okay, well, who hurt you?
We're casting Xanathar.
Yeah. Totally, and that's and
we're playing other people's spells.
And that's a potential that can happen. Yeah, totally. So it definitely does. It's a lot of card advantage, but you know, like we've said previously on this episode, this is a really safe set. And like, you know, you think about a card like Send Triplets, where you just get to play target opponent's hand that turn. So it's just it's a cool card, but I don't know. And like again, all these cards are kind of hard for me to gauge in Commander. Because like we're not playing a lot of Commander. Like normally we'd be seeing these new commanders pop up, and you know, in our LGS experiences, but we're still not having those. At least here in Winnipeg.
Yeah, and like I think this card isn't good enough for the amount of hate that it's gonna get.
Yeah,
because everyone's gonna be like, I don't want you playing my cards.
Like, give it some kind of like, I don't know, like. Give it hexproof when it's tapped or something. I don't know. Like, give it something.
Or even like ward something.
Yeah,
like, just
like
something.
ward 1 even. Just like give it a little bit of something.
Just give me your deck, okay?
Alrighty, so we're moving on to Colourless. Our first one is Eye of Vecna. It's 2 mana for a legendary artifact. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card and you lose 2 life. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you may pay 2. If you do, you draw a card and you lose 2 life.
It's a good card draw. If you're really hurting for card draw, it's not a bad little artifact to have.
Yes, sir. At the
That's
very
about it.
least, it's like a little egg. You know.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you can gain life, if you can kind of, cheat the mana cost, like if you have like a Braid of Fire or Thran Turbine, you get that mana on upkeep, and you just at least you're not paying. At least you're not having to tap permanents for mana.
That's a good point.
I definitely want to try this card out in Zancha, with which both the cards I just mentioned are in that deck, so I can activate Zancha's ability. But sometimes Zancha dies too many times, and you need an Eye Vecna.
This is also part of the Vecna Trinity, so if you get all 3 pieces, you can exile them from the battlefield and make a Vecna token.
Yeah, but who got time for that?
Who does have time for that?
Yeah, that's why they printed Cauldra
Complete?
Yeah, because we were tired of assembling the artifacts.
They're like,
three
here,
pieces.
let me help you out there.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Treasure Chest. It's 3 mana for an artifact. You can pay 4, sacrifice it, roll a d20. If you roll 1, you're trapped, and you lose 3 life. You can, if you roll a 2 to a 9, you create 5 treasure tokens. If you roll 10 to 19, you gain 3 life and draw 3 cards. And if you roll a 20, you search your library for a card. If it's an artifact card, you may put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, put that card into your hand, then shuffle. It's a lot of variance.
Yeah. If you're gonna play it, you're gonna be there for a good time, not for an efficient time.
Not for a long time.
Yeah. Well, you will be there for a long time. Let's be real. You're gonna discard your hand, and you're gonna sit there for the rest of the game.
Yeah, because like getting the 2 to 9, create 5 treasure tokens. Like you've invested 7 mana into this thing already. Like even that still kind of feels bad.
But it could be a boat.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, have a good time. The sun don't shine every day.
I really hope I roll that 20 to tutor, or I could just play Demonic Tutor.
Okay, so we are moving on to land cards. This is our last card. None of the colored cycle of lands made it onto our set review because we just didn't like them. So, Temple of the Dragon Queen is the land. As it enters the battlefield, you may reveal a dragon card from your hand. Temple of the Dragon Queen enters the battlefield tapped unless you revealed a dragon card this way, or you control a dragon. And as it enters the battlefield, choose a color. And it taps to add 1 mana of the chosen color to your mana pool.
Hey, if you like dragons.
Yeah, like it's referencing Tiamat, and then Tiamat's 5 colors, and this only taps for 1 color.
Do you think?
Like I understand it's uncommon. Like,
do you think if it was rare, it would have tapped for any color as long as you're casting a dragon spell?
Maybe. Yeah, like tap for a
I mean,
colorless or tap for any color as long as you cast a dragon spell.
For a dragon
just
spell,
like a sliver hive for dragons.
I think at the end of the day,
it's time.
Like you're playing a dragon deck. This is going to be like a prismatic vista, right? Like that's really what you're getting here, you know? It's like one shot color fix. Like
that's fair.
Right. Yeah, that's
and I mean,
a
you
good way
can
to think about it.
like if you're playing like standard or whatever, you can play 4 of these. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the end of our set review for this. What is it? I keep wanting to call it D&D, but it's
Adventures in the Forgotten Realms.
It's Adventures in Dungeons and Dragons. We're bringing the set
Adventures
review
in the Tarrasque.
to a close.
Under the table.
If
oh boy,
I'm sure Tarrasque was the only card you were interested in hearing about, but if there were, for whatever reason, any cards that we didn't mention that you wanted to hear us talk about, just pop that down in the comment section of wherever you listen to this, unless it's Spotify, because I don't think you can actually comment on Spotify, which is something they need to remedy. just spam them like at their email address with Taraski if you want a comment section.
They're gonna be like, what are they going on about?
And we're going to be back next week, as we always are, with a we're always back next week, but particularly next week, we're going to be back with a Adventures in the Forgotten Realm related deck tech, because we really haven't done a deck tech in a while. We didn't do any Modern Horizons deck techs. But until then, thank you so much for listening, and just take it easy out there.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Taraski.
Hashtag Taraski. All right, everybody. Don't be a Taraski out there, or do whatever you do you. Hashtag Taraski.
I mean, if you are a Taraski, that's like Ward 10, so it's hard for people to touch.
That's right.
Yeah, as long as you get cast.
Turn one soul ring.